Okay, I'm in a very raw state right now, but I am almost done with one of my 2 current whips. I've been trying to limit myself, not completely monogamous, but close. So this little tee I've been working on is almost done, but I'm waiting for small circulars because I actually hate magic loop. Apparently it's very slow, very tedious. So in the meantime, I'm going to prepare for my next whip, and I really want to cast on a June top. I live in LA. It's still super hot. It's September 6th, still super hot. It was like 101 yesterday, so summer knits are still fair game. And I have this yarn, Lana Grossa, I think. I know it was like About Berlin Vanity, but I think the brand is Lana Grossa. Anyway, it was in a whip, a crochet whip that I've abandoned because I just don't really like it. I love the color of this yarn as it is, but crochet, if you crochet at all, it takes way more yarn than knitting. And when I got this, like, off Lovecrafts, when I got this, they only had 5 left, which is a lot for knitting, but it's a little for crochet. So I had to add in this like helper yarn, which was just a cotton, like cream cottony color. And overall the pattern is just a little too crazy, and the fabric is a lot thicker than something I would want to wear when it's hot outside, and it's hot outside most of the time. So I just kind of let it go because I knew I wasn't really going to wear it that much. But now it's found a new purpose. So again, I bought 5. I have 2 untouched cakes, and then I have like the majority of one of the skeins, maybe half of one of the skeins left. So that was 3, and then the other 2 or 2.5 are in this shirt. So while I'm waiting for the small circulars, I'm going to frog this whole shirt and make a backup cake. I think the June top calls for like 150 to 200 grams for my size. I think I've seen finished products on Instagram, but I haven't looked too into the pattern itself. But I did skim, and I think it's like 2 skeins or 4 50-gram like half skeins. Is a skein always 100 grams? I don't know, but I have like 100 and maybe 30 right here. So I'm just gonna frog this as a backup plan. I almost always have leftover yarn on projects, so I may be able to accomplish it without having to touch this. But since I'm in kind of a dead period because I'm avoiding the stripy sweater I've been working on, this is what I'm gonna do instead to get this. Okay, it is the next day. I have... What's the matter? You wanna come up? I have almost the entire shirt left to frog. I know it looks like I did nothing, but I did do a little something, almost halfway. And as I was doing it, I was kind of taking out the rows and making little tiny balls and then knotting them up into a cake on my little winder. And this original yarn is striped. Not super striped, but kind of like if you've seen some of the Noro yarns. It's like they're striped, but they're not sharp contrast stripes. But when you knit in the round, you do get stripes. So I was thinking to myself, if this shirt has almost 150 grams in it, and I'm knotting it all up, kind of like out of order and mismatch a little bit. Should I use the knotty cake? I mean, it does have a lot of knots in it, but the nature of this yarn is so like textured and uneven that how much could you really tell? And I'm thinking maybe it'll look cooler because it'll look more variegated than striped. So we'll see. But for today, I was planning to cast on, and I think instead I'm just going to really focus on the frogging. I love you too. And maybe start with the knotty cake. You want to make a knotty cake June top? Oh, wow. So yeah, check back in when I'm actually casting on. It is Thursday, September 8th, about 10 o'clock. So yeah, I cast on the bottom yesterday. I'm knitting an extra small, and it's looking like maybe it'll fit, maybe it'll be too small, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna do my little morning knit sesh, and I'm thinking Bollywood Wives. Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch Bollywood Wives, like 2 episodes should be a good little session. Season 2 just came out on Netflix, so yeah, that'll be some good entertainment. I will say this yarn, because it's like also I've gotten maybe 2 inches, probably not even. And this is all I have left of that half skein. So it's looking like I probably will have to dip into the knotty skein, which I was going to start with, but then I hated the process of frogging that shirt, and I frogged about 50 grams. So between this 100 grams, what I just used, and what I've caked, I think it'll be enough, but if not, I'll just do the work of frogging the rest. But because of the texture of this, like, come on, this, like, I don't know a technical term for this chunky thin, and then the silk, I think the silk is what's orange, because that's like what's shiny when you go in the sun and stuff, and the silk is in these twisty, like, knotty things. Anyway, alright, so yesterday I finished 1 full ball and that little partial ball, and it got me this far. So I have probably like 10 more centimeters to go before I start working on the top. You can start from the middle or from the very bottom, and I started from the bottom, so I have quite a bit to go, and then I'll split, and I only have 1 untouched ball left, so I think I'll definitely have to break into the knotty cake, but maybe not too much of it. And it is stripy, but it's purposely stripy, like the yarn itself is just stripy. So I didn't feel the need to alternate. We'll see how that goes because the naughty skein is definitely not in stripe order. Hopefully we don't look too crazy at the end of this, but check in soon. All right, it's the next day and this is where we are. So I've split for front and back, and I've done the right strap. And for the straps, I just kind of went off of where my bras actually sit on me. Well, for all the lengths. So I did the body stockinette until it could sit at the top of the back of my bra, and also be as long as I wanted it to be, which was only a little bit longer than the measurements in the pattern. So if you just want to go straight off the pattern, could be good. And then I wanted the front to kind of be like exactly on my, like exactly on top of where my bra sits. So I made the strap a little bit longer than what the pattern calls for, but so far it's looking cute. It's looking good. It's interesting because it feels kind of heavy. Like heavier than I imagined for such a thin yarn, but I think it's like cotton, silk, linen, rayon, some type of combination that I will put somewhere for y'all to see. But yeah, it's just a little heavier than I imagined, but also really breezy, so I think it's still gonna be okay to wear when it's hot outside. We shall see. And the stripes aren't as ugly as I thought they were gonna be. Not that they were gonna be hideous, but I just didn't know if I was gonna like the stripes. But on camera it looks super stripy, I think because of all the like white cottony specks, but in real life it's a lot more toned down and blended. So we're gonna see this one through. I'm not going to put it in the abandoned pile right before it's finished like I usually do. So yeah, we'll be checking back in shortly. I'm gonna take a break to upload my first podcast, which will be my first video ever. So if you're watching this and you haven't seen that one, watch that one, please. And so yeah, I probably will not touch this till later tonight, but by tomorrow I should have like the left strap done and the back. This is only the second pattern I've ever worked besides that test knit, and this is the first pattern I've ever worked bottom up, and I kind of like it. Like, you don't have to, I haven't used any scrap yarn so far. Everything's just kind of falling off the cables, so love that for me. And the strap just goes on a little stitch holder, but mine is really huge, so I could probably fit all 4 straps on this stitch holder if I really needed to. And then when I broke my yarn, I just left enough to add a couple more rows if I really needed to. Obviously it's easy to pull them out, but if I try it on and it's still not as long as I want, I have enough to add at least 3 or 4 more rows. So I suggest you do the same so that, you know, you have some adjustments. You have room for error. Alright, good morning. It's Sunday, the 11th. And here we are. This is the front. All I have left to do is the I-cords. But if you were super lazy, you could probably stop here. The only reason I think I'm going to do the I-cords is to see if it helps these lay flatter, because stockinette is super rolly and the sleeves the straps just like rolled up into a little cord, so it wouldn't really cover my bra strap like this. So I'm hoping the I-cords will give it a little extra stretch. And I only had to tap into the last naughty cake for one strap, one of the back straps. So not too bad. So yeah, we'll see. Okay. So I've put the I-cord on just one armhole so far, and it has you go down 0.5 millimeter on the needle size for the I-cord, and oh my goodness, it's so small. Like, can you see the difference? It's like in my pit now, so I don't know if I want to keep it, because I will say you can kind of tell how this strap is sitting a lot wider already, and if I do the neck side, then I'm assuming it's gonna pull it in this way and pull it in this way, and it probably won't truly cover my bra like it's supposed to, but I think this is gonna get annoying. So I might leave like a extra super duper long tail and then do this side on a 4.5. So instead of sizing down 0.5 millimeter, I'm gonna size up 0.5 millimeter and see if that helps, because these armhole depths were the same, and I have like whatever many inches this is under, and I have like 0 on this side. So just not gonna work. It is the 12th and we're done. We are completely as done as she will be, because I don't think I want to add an I-cord to the bottom. I'm not the best at picking up stitches yet, so you can see it's like not too wonky, but a little wonky. Also, the pattern says, and help me, the pattern says pick up and knit each stitch. So I picked up my stitches and then I knit a round of stitches. So I have this gap between my fabric and my I-cord. When the stitches are facing the same direction, it's not as noticeable, but on the sleeves, on the sleeves when they face 2 different directions, it's a little more noticeable. Doesn't look too terrible, but I'm scared that if I add a cord to the bottom hem, it's going to scrunch it and make it like balloon instead of just falling straight, because we all saw what happened when I did the first armpit. And this, I have to say, is the, let me put it on first. Okay, here we are. I think my bra is completely covered. So we did something right. Also, it's not a tweed, but it's tweedy-like, the fabric. So these little cotton chunks, I think it's the cotton, I'm just going off texture. These little cotton chunks kind of make some of the mistakes look more purposeful. Like some of the mistakes look like, oh, that's not a mistake, that's just the yarn. So that helped me out a little bit. Overall, I'm definitely satisfied with it. I didn't have many other projects in mind for this specific yarn. I think for this yarn, this was the perfect project, because anything else, it was just looking like too much. Like the yarn had a lot going on, and then the garment had a lot going on, and it was just a lot everywhere. So this is like really simple shirt with really complex yarn, and I'm loving the combo. But this was the hardest easy project I've ever made. Obviously I'm not gonna tell you exactly how to make it because it's a paint pattern, but you essentially knit the body and knit the straps. It's like bottom up. So because I skimmed it, I do like to skim my patterns beforehand so I can highlight my size everywhere. But when you get to the shaping rows for the straps and stuff, there's like rows where you bind off and rows where you don't bind off. And when you don't bind off, there's no number for how many stitches you need to bind off. So I didn't highlight anything in that row. Me moving too fast, I just went number to number and like didn't read any words. I only read numbers. So in my straps, I skipped a bunch of rows, and that's why like a couple days ago I had said I had to make the straps a little bit longer. Turns out that's because I skipped rows. So my shape, my neckline and armholes are probably a little bit different in like shape than written, but if you like it, just skip all those rows. I realized the mistake after the first strap, but because visually it looked fine, I just decided to continue the mistake on the second strap. I believe it was the two front straps, and on the back straps I did them as written, and I went back and highlighted the rows that didn't have any bind off so that I could go highlighter to highlighter and I wouldn't skip them again. So front straps are a little made up, back straps are to pattern, and my gauge was like a stitch off on this one, and sizing came out perfectly fine. So if you're off, or if you have a yarn that you want to use that's a slightly different weight, not like fingering to worsted, but like fingering to DK, sport to fingering, like that type of a difference, you could probably still get away with it, because beyond the initial stitch count, a lot of her patterns are like knit this length, so your row gauge isn't as important, or you could always do the math to swap it. But I really love it. The drape is nice and swingy and flowy, and I feel like this is a good late summer, early fall color as well, because again, I live in LA, so it's still super hot and there's plenty of time to wear it. So yes, overall probably will make another one, but also probably won't, just because I'm the type of crafter that is I feel like new things are what keep me curious and interested. So because I already know everything that's coming in this, I might not, but also because I did the straps wrong and because I really don't think I was supposed to knit around before I did the I-cord. Part of me also wants to do another one that's like perfect, but currently I don't have any yarns in my stash that are just calling to be turned into a June top, and I'm not buying yarn this month, so that will be for another day. But thanks so much for checking in. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and we'll stay in touch. I'll see you in the next one.